Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Asheville Vedic Astrology YouTube channel, youtube.com/Ryan's Vedic Astrology. I'm very happy to be able to present to you today videos related to the most important planetary combinations that you need to know, astrologically speaking. These videos were created by an Asheville Vedic Astrology apprenticeship student, one of her final projects, and what Anna has done is she's taken the Lajatati Avashtas and she has explained each combination of each Avashta for each planet. So they might not all be posted already, but please check the playlists tab for all of the videos for each of the planets so that you can learn these planetary combinations. The Lajatati Avashtas are an excellent way to understand how the chart is going to give its fruits. It's also an excellent way to understand how planets are being helped or hurt. Because sometimes you can have a difficult planet which is actually being helped by its friends, and so it's still able to produce that which it's meant to produce within the chart. In the same way that many people are confused when they have an exalted planet or a planet in a trine and good dignity, and it doesn't give the results that they expect that it would. Usually it's because of the combination of the Lajatati Avashtas, and maybe there are enemies of the planet hurting the planet, or the planet is in a difficult state. So this is a wonderful series of videos, and please take your time to study it. And for supplementary information on these videos, you can see the chapters in the book, The Art and Science of Vedic Astrology, Volume 2. There you'll find written descriptions of these planets, and it can also give you more understanding about how to apply and see how the planets are functioning within your chart. So once again, I'm very happy to present this work of Anna, one of our really skilled astrological apprenticeship students. She's been at this for at least 4 years now, and this is one of her final projects. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this series of videos.
And now we're going to talk about the Lajatati Avashtas of the Moon. Okay, and the first Lajatati Avashta we've got is Saturn's Shame to the Moon. So Saturn's Shame in the Moon. Now this happens when the Moon is with Saturn in the 5th house, and when the Moon is with Saturn and Rahu or Ketu, and this can happen in any house. So let's remember that the Moon is our ego, our feeling nature, our manas, our individualized consciousness. So a person with a Moon that is shaped by Saturn will have difficulty adapting to stress. They will not be able to cope with difficulties, and they will have shame around their self-image. The Moon is also our self-image. They will feel shame around how they feel, but they will try to hide it. They would be the typical people who seem to be okay, but then they have a breakdown out of nowhere. So this shame will actually hold them back from trying to do what they desire. So Saturn is our ability to cope with difficulties, to endure, and in this case they will not have that. Yes, Saturn's shame in the Moon will make it difficult for them to adapt to difficulty. Now, Mars shame in the Moon. That happens when the Moon is with Mars in the 5th house, or when the Moon is with Mars and Rahu or Ketu in any house. Yeah, it doesn't have to be in the 5th house, it can be in any house when they're with Rahu or Ketu. So what is Mars about? Mars is about our strong opinions about what is right or wrong. It's about taking action at the right time. Yeah, remember Mars is the general of the army. So they don't have time to waste it. They want to fix things. So when Mars is shaming the moon, the person cannot live up to the standards or the opinions of Mars. Mars is going to have very strong opinions about what's right or wrong, and they won't be able to live up to those standards. Now, when Mars is with Ketu, they think it should be easier than it is to live up to those standards. And when Mars is with Rahu, one could be too opinionated, too fanatical, and then they will feel shame because they push their opinions too far. With this shame, Avashta, they will also feel like whatever they do is never good enough, and they will be ashamed of their choices. They're even ashamed of how they feel and how they act upon that. Okay, the next one is the Sun shaming the Moon. And that happens when the Moon is with the Sun in the 5th house, or when the Moon is with the Sun plus Rahu or Ketu. This can happen in any house. With this Avashta, a person will feel like they never achieve what they're meant to in life, and they are not as important as they should be. They'll compare themselves to successful people and then feel shame. Remember that the Sun is authority figures or important people. So important people will tend to disrespect them. They will always compare themselves to them and just feel shame because they feel like they're not good enough. Now, Garvita or proud moon, and this happens when the moon is exalted at 3 degrees of Taurus, or when it's in its Mula Trikona sign, 4 to 20 degrees of Taurus. Remember, the moon is our individualized self, our manas, our self-image, our ability to receive, our ability to adapt. So when the moon is proud, they're going to feel very good about themselves. They're going to be comfortable as an individual. They're going to have a good, healthy self-image. And they will feel appreciated for what they can give to the world. They will also feel that they've got an ability to receive from others. Yeah? So they can receive and they can give as well. Now let's go to the starvation of the moon coming from Saturn. Saturn starving the moon. This happens when the moon is with Saturn or aspected by Saturn. So remember that when a planet is with Saturn, it's going to be starved, even if they're not enemies. Because remember that the moon has no enemies. So what will happen when there's, we've got this Avashta? The person will not be able to accept love. They will not feel worth being loved. And they will not be able to give it appropriately either because of that. So they will have very low self-esteem and little capacity to create lasting success. Yeah, remember we said that the moon is imagining how things could be. So they will not have that capability. They will also try too hard to prove their worth. And they will not have the ability to adapt. And so that they will always resist change and they will not be resourceful. This Avashta can create a bit of depression, and people could also overcompensate if they're not getting help from Jupiter, Mercury on this or the Sun. Now, thirsty moon. This happens when the moon is starved by Saturn in a water sign, okay? Only in a water sign. So this is not felt as strongly, and the moon will also be able to produce, although it might feel a bit frustrated and uncomfortable. Okay, so it's like starvation, but a little bit lighter. Now let's go to Mercury delighted moon. So the moon receiving delight from Mercury, one of its friends. This happens when the moon is in Virgo or Gemini, or when the moon is with Mercury or aspected by Mercury. So remember, Mercury is communication, it's friends, friendship, ability for research. So in this case, Mercury is going to give friends that can help. Friends will bring joy to them, and they will have very good quality friendships. They will know how to adapt to the environment, and they will find the best things to do, the best opportunities. Mercury is very good at finding the best things, the best opportunities. So they will make the most of everything. So they will have good friends, and they will find good opportunities at all times. Now the Sun delighted moon. Okay, so moon being delighted by the Sun. That happens when the moon is in the Sun sign in Leo, when the moon is conjunct the Sun, or when the moon is aspected by the Sun. So there will be a strong personality that is able to do what is right and honorable. Remember, the Sun is about honor, about inspiration. Yeah, the Sun doesn't mind if something's uncomfortable. They will just do everything out of inspiration. And the Sun also gives energy to the moon in order to stay committed. The Sun is also about commitment, about being steadfast, about willpower. The person will also get validation easily, as the Sun is also authority figures. And this Avashta gives a personality that feels like they're true to their higher ideals. So the person will be very honorable. Jupiter delighted moon, the moon delighted by Jupiter. This happens when the moon is conjunct Jupiter. Okay, so moon and Jupiter together. The moon is going to feel connected. It's going to feel more creative, more joyful, more sociable. The moon is going to be very adaptable, and it's going to understand the results of choices with wisdom. Jupiter always brings wisdom into situations, and it also brings growth. So it's going to make the moon more receptive, more creative. Jupiter is also a sattvic planet, so it gives the person wisdom and happiness to understand things from a higher perspective. The Sun agitating the moon, that happens when the Sun is conjunct the moon. Okay, so even if the Sun is a friend to the moon, when they're conjunct, the Sun's gonna agitate the moon. Okay, so this will give pressure to be something great in life, too much effort. The moon's going to become too rigid instead of adaptable. They will feel like they have to achieve too much. Yeah, so the sun's going to be pushing the moon too much. They can't see other opportunities because they're too focused on goals. And so they're going to be running towards a goal in an agitated way. With Saturn starvation, they run away from their miserable feeling through other distractions. Yeah, in this case, they will just feel a little bit agitated, like the sun's putting too much pressure on them.